I'll tell you what, we get through the triple witching and it looks like something big is cooking. Wait until you see what I have to show you on the charts for not only the indices or the ETFs that track them and also Bitcoin. I gotta say that I think that we're nearing some big moment, and whether it's gonna be up or down, we have some clues that have some suggestions to make, and I want to offer you those clues in this video. And if you guys want to see more of my analyses, my buys and sells, along with the other panel experts, we got a joint Discord of thousands of members together. Links in the description. I'll tell you more about it later in the video. For right now, look at what we have shaping up over at QQQ, tracking the NASDAQ 100. I have been talking in my videos about the 5 and the 13 and the fact that before, right there, we had the 13 as support, 13 as support, 13 as support. We finally lost the 13 as support. We closed down below the 13 EMA. I said that that was important, but something very interesting about that, if I put up the Bollinger Bands, this white line that you see coming up this way, this is the 20-period simple moving average support. And so far, we have that support. We're still on top of it. And even if it wasn't for that, let me take that back down and just talk about the moving averages. Another thing that I talked about was the cross of the moving averages, and we just don't have that yet. The 5 is still above the 13. So is it time to sell or drop back, to give back a little bit in the market? And I gotta say, the technicals aren't necessarily suggesting that yet, but the RSI is declining and we close down below the 13. We could be getting very near that moment where we see a little bit of that softening, and I can't imagine that all of this is triple witching. I think that some of this is that weekend risk of the whole Israel and Iran conflict that we have, and then also tariff news on top of it. We don't really have too many other catalysts, at least in terms of economic reports, standing in our way between now and the labor report that take place in July. So I think that those are the two main drivers that we have. And then the other thing that we want to pay attention to, of course, is where's that outperformance going to happen during the third quarter of this year? Because we still have some time left in June. We can still put in that performance. But honestly, with the market near its top like this, I think IWM, the Russell 2000 stocks, not being near its top, might have that shot at that outperformance. We might be able to see that run, especially that inverse head and shoulders. I'll get back to IWM in a moment. For right now, for the Qs, try and keep the ticker symbol so you can see it here. QQQ, be on the watch for that 5 crossing down of the 13. We get the first part of the recipe that it takes in order to see a further drop. And now, mind you, if you're bullish on the markets and you're waiting for it to go up, then you don't want the 5 to cross the 13. For me, I'd rather respond in my trading portfolio to the technicals that are in front of me and follow what the market's doing rather than trying to fight the market, because fighting the market is a nice way to have your money taken. And so for me, right now, I'm still watching for that big moment to come our way. I did some day trading today, pretty darn successfully. That worked out really nicely for me. And I did that using 0 DTEs with the Qs. I do live trading with StockMo over at the Discord. Like I said, links in the description. Code word doctor. I was able to take advantage, I should say, of some of these rips that we had throughout the day. Some of them down, some of them up, and it worked out very handsomely for me. And like I said, over at the Discord, you guys can see how exactly that happens. And there's some coursework through StockMo Academy, which he and Mrs. Mo put some courses together, and they're kind enough to share out a link with me that I can share with you that's going to support me and you guys. The knowledge in those courses can pay back in dividends what you pay for them, and you can also get them cheaper when you bundle them. It's an options course, top-notch, and a technical analysis course with technical trading through the bread recipe, which I personally use, especially with those 0 DTEs that brings the money in every day and pretty much keeps my trading portfolio green day after day after day, with very few days where I actually end up in the red. Like I said, in the description, you'll find both those links. Code word doctor is going to get you discounts on both of them. Click on them, check them out, see what you think. Let's get back into the charts. So back out to the daily chart for the Qs here for you. Like I said, every time we get near the tops, we sell down a little bit. We need to see if we do sell down and soften, how far do we go? If the 5 never crosses the 13 and instead we find support, that's also going to be important feedback for us. One thing I want to look at here with you as I make this video is I want to click on the measuring stick here and go back to see where 13 candles puts us. And what we see is that we're at this candle right back here. And that means that the very next candle, we're actually near that price already. So the fact that we're near the 13, the price action's near the 13, our next candle is probably not going to move the 13 a whole lot. Now, if we do that instead for the 5-period moving average and go back 5 candles, Right there's where we have that 5, and that 5, we're going to lose this high value that's up here, and we're going to exchange it out for these 4, so the next one can be highly impactful. So if we open red on Monday, that can drag that 5 down across the 13, and that can give us that bearish signal. So we do want to watch out for the 5 EMA and the 13. I will say, just because I've been talking about selling down a lot, look at the 50 and the 200 day for the Qs. Helps if I don't change the chart on you. Look at that 50 right here in the 200 day. That is a golden cross that we're getting near, and we just touched the 20 day. That's a very bullish sign. If we get the 50 up over the 200, we have got to watch and see what happens, because we still have a very likely potential for a new all-time high. It could happen here in June. It can happen in early July. I think that there are some things that we have to watch out for in terms of signs of economic strength, signs of economic distress, signs of geopolitical stress. There's just, and tariffs are of course always part of that. We have to find out. The more news as that happens, we're coming up on that week and a half to 2 weeks that Trump said that he would give us some sort of decision, some sort of update. So we've got to pay attention to that as well. But that is a very bullish sign to see that one. SPY, SPY, tracking the S&P 500. This is the daily chart that we're looking at here. Once again, pretty much the same signs as what we had for the Qs, closing down below the 13, but we don't yet have that cross between the 5 and the 13. You can see one's just above the other. There's that old gooseneck that we have, and that goose head with that bill sticking out, but we don't have the cross to really show that bearishness. The RSI dipping down, but not below 50. That's also important for us. If we go over to, there we go, IWM. Man, this thing is fighting. It is staying up above 50 for the RSI, so it's bullish momentum, just like with the Qs, just like with the SPY. Is now the time to be bearish? I don't think so. It is the time to be cautious and to be patient and to wait for that next major opportunity so as not to overtrade and kind of lose money, especially if you're using options and you have time value eating away at the value of those options. There's no sense sweating theta decay unnecessarily. So I'm watching for that next major moment, that next major signal to really go heavy into this stuff through the indices. So for IWM, we have the inverse head and shoulders that got confirmed. We're still up in this neckline area. Need to break back over this yellow trend line, which if I go out to the monthly chart just for a moment, you can see we're in that bull channel, especially if I reset the view, you can really see, and this is over a decade long. So it goes back all the way to, if I go back to where that red trend line starts, May of 2008 to the bottom of March of 2009, and then has several touches throughout, dies above the red line, comes to life below the green line. Let's go back down to the daily chart. There's the inverse head and shoulders. If that hits, we could see that $248 mark. Now, mind you, that might take a while to get there. A couple weeks, couple months, we're going to have to see. I do think that the market's going to end higher than what it is right now throughout the end of 2025. I might update that depending on what environment we find ourselves in. But for right now, we don't really have hard evidence that we're going to change the direction that we're moving in, at least not majorly. We're going to have some minor swings here and there at the very least. And if there's major stuff that comes along, well, then I'll report on that as well. Bitcoin, by the way, and I got to share all the interesting stuff with you that I have. Actually, let me go ahead and do that, and then we'll talk about Bitcoin here. So for the Qs, the one thing I wanted to share is that we're sitting right at the blue 20 day. If we go over to the SPY, I'll take down the EMAs and I'll put up the SMAs and I'll put the candles back up for you. And look what we came down and touched. We came down and reverted to the mean of that 20-day moving average. And if we go over to IWM and we take down the technicals and we put up the simple moving averages, take down the exponential ones, look exactly where we had that touch for IWM as well, right at the 20-day, each one above it. That is a very bullish thing for those markets to see that, especially following the triple witching like we had today. If we stay up above that 20-day, we're in very good shape to see that sort of support. That is a vote for the bulls, and I'm glad to have that because I'm net long in my positions anyway. Bitcoin, this one is making us sweat a little bit, especially with what we saw happen with ETH today, finally breaking down a little bit lower out of its range. Let me take down the candles, and I'll show you what I'm looking at for BTC for the moment. And boom, there we go. So the 5 has crossed the 13 for a while now. That's a sign that you could sell down. We still have that 50-period moving average. And if I put up the simple moving averages just for a moment and put those candles back up there, this one actually came up and retested the 20-day, sold down below, also sold down the 50 SMA. These are the simple moving averages that you're looking at. We're still above the 200, which is generally overall longer term trend bullishness than what you have for the more near term moving averages that are on here. And if we put up the EMAs again, the exponential moving averages, once again for Bitcoin on the daily chart, if we lose that 50 EMA, we could see a further cross of the 5, which is the green over the red. That is a further bearish sign, and the same thing for the yellow over the red, further bearish sign. We could finally break out of this sideways movement for Bitcoin. What I want to see for Bitcoin is pretty much that, and pretty much for the stock market as well. Either sell down and give us some opportunities, and we can ride it the way down with options, and you guys can find out how through the options course or by joining us over at the Discord, where we share our plays over there, the expert panelists and some of the community members also like to share out the things that they're doing as well. You can interact, you can talk, you can find that support, but ride those waves down through some options plays or something. I absolutely love to do that, setting up the next big opportunity for that next rise up, because net overall, big picture, I'm bullish on crypto such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP. Sui, I think, has a really strong chance of running as well. Solana, I think, is also going to have another day in the soul and the sun. I just think that it is time to be patient on these, and I either want us to either fall back and set up that next opportunity, that next massive outperforming opportunity, or I just want it to move up already. This sideways choppy movement's a little bit irritating for all of us. Now, mind you, there are option strategies that also take advantage of low volatility situations as well. You can do it with short strangles, things like that, and there's all sorts of risks that go along with it that you need to be aware of before you do such things, but there are things that you can do up or down in the market, just in case you weren't aware. I know most often people are bullish, and that's good. And then when it's bearish, they just leave the market or they sell and they just let that opportunity go. I feel like that's only playing half the market. So I got to say, overall, for the markets, overall, I'm bullish. I think that we do have some near-term things that we're going to be watching for just in case we happen to hit those signals where we start to sell down from where we're at. They haven't hit yet, but they are getting closer according to what I've shared with you in this chart, dropping down below the 13 EMA, down below the 5 EMA. If we lose the 20 SMA, and if we get the 5 to cross the 13 for the EMAs, that is also further bearishness. And then we want to watch the momentum indicators such as the RSI. Some people like the MACD, for example. But I like the RSI. It's one of my favorite things to use in combination with some of the other things. And it's also part of the bread recipe, which you guys can check out using that coursework through technical analysis and with the link down in the description. But in any case, we have signs that say maybe near term, we give a little bit back. I still think that overall, throughout the year, we have a higher high coming in for the Qs, coming in for the SPY. Hopefully it's June. If not June, hopefully it's very early on in July. If it's not going to be either of those two things, then at least sometime in 2025, come on and give it to us. And between now and then, give us some opportunity for some really bargain bin prices along the way, whether it's stocks or crypto. Guys, join me here at this channel. Hit the subscribe button so you can see anytime that my videos come out, where I bring you the updates that I see for opportunities with the stock market, crypto market, maybe even bond market, and other news that I think is very noteworthy that we should be paying attention to for potential catalysts. And if you want to further support yourself in your journey towards financial freedom or learning how to build alpha in your portfolio, check out the links in the description for the Discord and for Stockmo Academy. And it also helps to support this channel and support my family as well. And guys, I thank you very much for watching this video to help support me that way too. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, I'm rolling with it because it's Friday. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning. And we'll see you next video.